See My World will involve the education, promotion and celebration of Pan-African arts, culture and being. This October 2020, between the 15th to the 18th, same weekend of this historic meeting, there will be a festival reenactment of the 1945 Pan-African Congress, incorporating debates, forums, seminars, exhibitions and performances.
The aim? To establish a new cultural practice for Pan-Africans across Manchester and the UK, so we can establish historical legacy across the world. Big up to yourselves and big up to our sponsors. Let's make history, let's make a legacy. Come see our world.
See My World will involve the education, promotion and celebration of Pan-African arts, culture and being. This October 2020, between the 15th to the 18th, the same weekend of this historic meeting, there will be a festival reenactment of the 1945 Pan-African Congress, incorporating debates, forums, seminars, exhibitions and performances.
The aim? To establish a new cultural practice for Pan-Africans across Manchester and the UK, so we can establish historical legacy across the world. Big up to yourselves and big up to our sponsors. Let's make history, let's make a legacy. Come see our world.
Welcome back, guys.
Welcome back. What's good, people? It was a heavy one last night, wasn't it?
Oh my gosh, what an event. We hope you guys enjoyed it on the live stream as much as we did, because boy,
Yeah.
it was actually going off.
It was-
Obviously socially distanced and all that,
Yeah.
but it was
It was calm.
amazing.
It was calm. Yeah. I think everyone, kept that health and safety thought in mind.
For sure,
and,
for sure,
and,
for
and
sure,
obviously
for sure.
we all just had a bit of a, you get me, a bit of a head nods towards the DJs and the performers. Performers were amazing. So shouts out Roots Radix, shouts out Chunky. What did you think of the Chunky thing? Was mad as well, wasn't it?
Power.
Power. Yeah.
The fact that it was filmed outside the plaque in the space where they had the 5th Pan-African Congress, I think was spot on.
Spot on, yeah, it's proper. And I remember, because we was all in the process helping to film and the production on the day.
That was a mad day, actually. I think it was 12 till 9 at night.
It was crazy because we recorded it at the same time as the intro
Yeah.
as well for the whole festival.
Yeah.
So it was that day, all from 12 all the way to 9 at night.
It was mad. That day was absolutely bonkers, I'm not going to lie. But it was a very enjoyable day.
It was. And obviously all in the name of the 1945 Pan-African Congress, do you know what I mean?
I love what Chunky was wearing as well. He was wearing the Supreme Velour tracksuit top.
It had the
Supreme,
red-
baby, in the tricolours.
Yeah.
In the tricolours as well, so that was bad.
Yeah. That was proper.
That looked cold.
So yeah, Roots Radix as well. That was mad. The choppy and change of the performance.
Set the scene nice. Remind me of Slum Village, Tropical Quest.
They had it's like
Kind
a
of
little
vibe.
Fuji.
Yeah.
Fuji vibe. You get me?
Really good from Manchester as well, you know.
Money, yeah. Check them out. Obviously at Roots Radix. So then the Chunky and then Misha B.
It should be wow. Phenomenal
Electric.
artist.
Absolutely.
Phenomenal artist. The way she can control her voice.
Yeah.
Skill levels.
Range, there's so much
Skill
range.
levels, mad.
Yeah. And even just on the backdrop, you know what I mean? She had the little cup of tea next to the roses, and everything was
Mad.
just do you know what I mean? Yeah.
Mad. I love the lighting as well. I love that indigo lighting.
Yeah.
That,
I'm very much with it. And then obviously all the DJs, I don't know if there was
Snow started it off, kicked it off.
There was a nice little intro into the kind of
the Afro beat, that authentic Afro jazz music, man.
Exactly.
Sick. Big up to Snow.
Big up Snow, hold tight Snow. I hope you managed to get some sleep. and then who else? Yeah, Kimo B. Yeah, he was.
Wow. I love the green screen graphics. It was good, but Kimo really did kick the thing off, innit?
He was boy, you can see him, you would have seen him as well. I think you can scroll back actually on the Vimeo, but you would see it, he was proper jumping up and down. My man put so much energy into that set.
He really got the party started in there, I'm telling you. He really got the party started, for real.
And then Silver as well, wow. It was really Manchester, wasn't it?
Manchester was a repping for real.
Yo, it was playing a bit of old school garage and you know what I mean? And he was crazy.
It was mad. Actually, you know what? We can't forget Reese Williams as well, you know.
Oh yeah, because he had that just before the
DJs.
You played
Mother Me session.
Yeah, man.
Big up, man. World premieres tune. Manchester's own Reese Williams.
Man like. And then obviously my brothers Darker and Star One.
Silver?
Oh yeah, I mentioned Silver. I
Did you
mention it.
mention
I just
Silver?
said Garage,
Yeah.
Because obviously he was playing Oscar Garage. But obviously he tore it down. And then Star One and Darker with the UK funky.
Oh man,
and then,
just took us back to school days.
Yo, they was different. Do you get me? All the tunes, bro. I don't know. It became just it was one it all merged into one basically.
Is that back to back? You know,
was just
back in the day, you used to get the old school tapes.
Yeah.
Back to back.
Wow.
It's cold. And shout out to the MCs as well. Chunky, Blaze. Nuruddin even got on.
Nuruddin
Nuruddin, even Steve. Steve was having a go. He jumped off the camera. He started having a go.
I seen him when you get in a little circle, I seen him that.
He just gripped up the microphone and just jumped on. I can't believe it. Just audience members again. Me next.
Yeah, my turn. And then was it RB? That was with
Kimo. Yeah, big up to RB, man. First time I met him, but
young
man.
You know what I mean? It's 15. He's 15, you know.
Is it?
He's 15, yeah.
Wow.
He just come and just tore it down. That's that real Pan-African energy there, yeah.
Proper. It is when you got the bloody operations manager jumping on the mic. Nuruddin. Big up to Nuruddin, you know, with the risk assessment.
Yeah, risk assessment. You're just dashing everyone out. No, you can't come in here.
Socially distanced.
Yeah.
Proper.
Yeah. And shout out all the team. I think like everyone's like, and
mate.
all their
Blackstone
efforts.
Visuals.
Blackstone.
Tommy as the general secretary.
Yeah.
We
Ebo set design.
Ebo set design. We had Tibetan kitchen.
Oh yeah,
the food.
good. Wait, you know we actually need to say, because we've got a few more minutes actually. We need to go through. We'll do all of the rundown, everyone. We actually need to do the
sponsors as well.
The sponsors, but the intentions.
Yeah,
actually, we need to set these intentions.
Yeah,
so, you know,
so taking the learn. Yeah, go on.
As part of it, yeah, of course, like you're saying, taking the learnings, the insights, and the understandings that we've got from the whole festival. One of the things that we wanted to that we felt was quite paramount as part of this festival, in the same way that the Pan African Congress did, was to essentially look at a set of mantras that would allow us to then move forward as Pan-African peoples, you know what I mean? Like certain things that we could come together, unify on, and use as energies to help us be, basically. And so through all of the kind of conversations we've had, you know, the in conversations, the panels with, you know, the community and the youth, a lot of those learnings that we've taken out of them, we extracted, and even some of the questions, we hoped to sit down and work through an understanding that hopefully a collective of us can then move forward, you know what I mean? And, you know, I suppose when you talk about stuff like manifestos and stuff, people always get a bit like, ooh, like, you know what I mean? Like, do you know what I mean? Well, who's that for? Everyone? It's like, nah, I feel like it's just people that want to take this on, that feel like it's a good thing to do as a collective, you know what I mean?
For sure.
And I think, you know, as we move this forward and as this grows, See My World grows, you know what I mean? I feel like it's good to always set that level of intention. So, yeah, man, just to let everyone know that's been part of these conversations, everyone that's been in the Zoom conversations, everyone that's been at home, that's given us feedback, that's essentially what we'd like to do with yourselves, you know what I mean? I mean, have you had any thoughts, Rob, you know what I mean, at any of the conversations that you think need to like come out of there, anything that you would like to, or anything you've taken away that you think, yeah, it needs to go in?
Sure. I think one of the most important things to take away from it is to remember the intention and the efforts made in 1945, so about that self-determination, that self-actualization, that has to be a mantra.
Yeah.
And that has to be our intention, that we are in control of our own destinies and that we can create solutions to these issues.
Yeah.
And that we should be working together in order to bring those solutions to fruition, bring them to reality. So I think that's definitely one important thing that I've taken away from the conference so far.
Yeah,
for
sure. And I feel like one common theme that came out was just that, look, like, it's not a case of like, yeah, we're going to have loads of differences in opinions about certain things, but if we can all unify on things that we know as a collective will help all of us, you know what I mean? It was just like, none of us are free until all of us are free. And I think if, you know, we have differences on certain things, and we have certain things on politics and stuff, but at the same time, if we unify on a few common goals, then, you know, we can get there as a collective, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, with that in mind, you know, keep on sending in your thoughts and opinions to help us. It's going to be an ongoing process. It's going to be and you know, it's, when you set intentions change as well. I think that's another thing to understand. It's not like complete and utterly set in stone. Of course, you know, you need to have the ability to see things through 100%, but we also have to be quite flexible in one or two things, you know what I mean, to understand people's different capacities. And
For sure. So I'm excited.
Yeah.
I mean, I've learnt so much from you guys watching in the stream. It's just been an absolute pleasure, hasn't it?
It has. And just being in this room and, like, you know what I mean, feeling all the energies, man, you feel like something's been happening or something's definitely happening. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think someone mentioned on the community panel yesterday in terms of, like, they can feel things happening, and sometimes they can feel like there's a real change, you know what I mean? And, you know, another thing that came out of that was the young people, and it's always gone back to the young people, that they are the ones to push this forward, and so continuing to be able to help the youngers in that way, and I think that's going to be key as well.
Well, that's a great link, because we've got an entrepreneurship project happening till March, starting in November. So stay locked in to our socials, or we'll release all the information through there. So yeah, if you're young, and you want to get involved in entrepreneurship, do lock on, stay in touch and get involved.
Yeah.
So we're looking forward to that. So next, what we
Next.
got going on today?
Oh man, my program, it's all about the arts really today. It's all about the arts. We've got different dance performances and concepts, films that are dropping today, music as well from a whole host of Manchester and UK artists, you know what I mean? So Chad Taylor with his production and his choreography of Lost Online.
Yeah.
I think, yeah.
Manchester's own Chad Taylor.
Yeah.
Big up to Shockout as well on that one.
Mm-hmm.
One of our own. Airs at 12:15.
Yeah.
So stay locked in for that one for real.
Yeah, and we got like Shibi Kiki on like her new release on Griot City Records. So yeah, looking forward to that. Isaiah Hull, yo, smart. It's like a little exclusive and world premiere on all of that. And we got a short film on See My Dunya, a film about Somali Mancunian experiences. What else have we got popping off in here? Chop Lord of the Flies, Ivan. Yo,
I was just about
Ivan,
to
you
say
about
that
to say
one.
that? Yeah.
Ivan Blackstock.
Yeah.
What? Trap Lord of the Flies helped work on, I think it's Black is King.
Yeah.
Beyonce.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah,
He
so
did.
check that out. That's on at 3 o'clock.
Yeah.
We've got Shock Out Academy. See My World Presents at 3:10.
Mm-hmm.
We've got Isaiah's, like you said, at 3:15.
Yeah.
Students Unite, the Pan-Africanism chat with the student unions
Yeah.
at 3:30. We've got Voices of Freedom from Sue Andy.
Actually, that one there, because you're going to have to go and log on to the university, the PAX 75's website to be able to do that. So,
What's the MMU's website?
MMU's website. So you just look into there, but it's just there for you to go and just catch up on. And then the final thing with Lem Cisse, and in conversation with Lem Cisse, where we linked up with him in London, and essentially he just gives us an insight into, do you get me, in his world, you know what I mean? So that's going to be really interesting.
7 o'clock,
yeah,
baby.
and that rounds us off, you know what I mean? But we'll be here all day anyway, so yeah, keep it locked.
Stay locked in. Stay locked in. Don't go nowhere.
100. See my world, baby.
See my world, baby. Welcome back, guys. Welcome back.
See My World, a festival of Pan-African experiences. Wow, Chad Taylor, Lost Online.
How did he even pull that off in a lockdown for real? And I know that was an installation that he did at home, and now I feel blessed that he's contributed that to the festival, to be fair.
Yeah.
Because, you know, to produce shows moving forward and online content, that's basically the way that people are doing it, using their phones.
Yeah, and I suppose even like how they've all done the choreography as well. So they've like...
In separate places.
In separate places, so they've all had to kind of get in sync, but using digital means to be able to do that. I think obviously it's very telling, you know what I mean? And obviously like quite relevant to the times that we're in.
For sure. So big up to yourself, Chad,
Smashed it.
Bailey and Kyra.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, big up to yourself,
Those
guys.
are the other dancers in the film, right?
Did an absolutely phenomenal job, so big up to yourself.
Big up.
So what we got coming in now?
What we got coming in now, a performance from Shibi Kiki called Count, basically, which essentially looks at the situation in Nigeria in relation to Boko Haram and the women, unfortunately, the girls that got taken away. So yeah, and I mean, let us know what you think about this one, you know what I mean? Actually quite close to my heart, and just want to big up Shibi Kiki for obviously allow us to share this online, because she's actually released it off her new EP. Is it Ephemeral? Mm-hmm. But yeah, big up, and that's off Griot City Records. So yeah, I hope you enjoy this. Let us know what you think as well.
Stay locked in.
Stay locked.
Count. 2, 3, 4, 5. Before you tell me it's the 21st century, 7, 8. I beg you to count until you get to 234. Count in Hausa, Igbo, Yoruba, Fulani. This English girl doesn't know. Count their names. As quickly as they fled from them, as they were herded into the trucks with the livestock and the food enlightened by fear, count 234 slate Hymans, tawny backs, and mealy mouths. 234 articles on terrorism, a father faints, and a mother holds her tongue like an altar. Money slips between hands like oil, the unspoken prophet of patriarchy, or is it patriotism? Obama is counting on securing his place before China steps in, and it's taken 2 weeks for this news to germinate, to get to me. Where was Alex Crawford? Reporting on Pistorius, or was it Peaches? A Russian model posts a topless picture. Bring back our girls across her shallow chest, and a Yorkshire woman tells Jeremy Vine that we should just give him the money. Because immediately, an African issue means charity. An American reporter jokes, bring back our country, as a member of UKIP reduces it to black on black crime over Rooibos tea and a Twitter feed. Are you still counting? I've finished and started again, searching for the algorithm of powerlessness, distracted by the fractal patterns of social diffusion. Someone get Chomsky on the phone, or Desmond Tutu. They don't know what to do. Or should we speak to Diane Abbott? I don't know. Maybe we should just listen to what some black woman thinks about all of this. But in the meantime, let's zoom in on those ululating tonsils and the dance in their despair. I wonder if in 234 days we will indulge this family again as though their last name was McCann. Forgive me for forsaking the power of symbolism. When pragmatics are out of reach, could I stand here, red top, placard, and sing? Bring them back, bring them back, bring them back. Believing that somehow, one of those girls will hear me.
See My World will involve the education, promotion and celebration of Pan-African arts, culture and being. This October 2020, between the 15th to the 18th, the same weekend of this historic meeting, there will be a festival reenactment of the 1945 Pan-African Congress, incorporating debates, forums, seminars, exhibitions and performances.
The aim, to establish a new cultural practice for Pan-Africans across Manchester and the UK, so we can establish historical legacy across the world. Big up to yourselves and big up to our sponsors. Let's make history, let's make a legacy. Come see our world.
See My World will involve the education, promotion, and celebration of Pan-African arts, culture, and being. This October 2020, between the 15th to the 18th, the same weekend of this historic meeting, there will be a festival reenactment of the 1945 Pan-African Congress, incorporating debates, forums, seminars, exhibitions, and performances.
The aim to establish a new cultural practice for Pan-Africans across Manchester and the UK, so we can establish historical legacy across the world. Big up to yourselves and big up to our sponsors. Let's make history, let's make a legacy. Come see our world.
Welcome back,
See My
guys.
World.
See
Welcome
My
back.
World.
What's going on? I hope you enjoyed that piece from Shivi Kiki.
That was sick.
Yeah.
That piece is power.
Sick. Shouts out to Abel as well, that was on there. He's the cellist and worker who actually produced the tune as well. Yeah.
Very talented.
Cold.
Very, very talented musician.
Very talented. Like, and Keisha is also coming up next as well as part of our co-curation on A Sense of the Future. So yeah, all rounder. Like, I don't think there's anything Keisha can't do. Shivi Kiki, she's just different, man. She's just different. Great poet, like author, like writer, performer. Get me, musician. Do you know what I mean? She literally writes the theme tune and sings the theme tune. Do you know what I mean?
Real queen.
Yeah,
Real queen.
real queen.
Pan-African queen. So,
Yeah,
what message did you get from that that film that she's just done?
I think it's just the understanding of. I think it encapsulates understandings of how society kind of subjugates or lowers the black bodies and how, you know what I mean, they don't really get, because she talks about the count is about how many of the women that were taken from by Boko Haram. So, and actually it's like how the media talks about it or didn't talk about it.
Okay.
Like, so it could have been one individual that got taken away, that would have been bad, but the fact that they had to say that there was 200 plus women that got taken away, it's almost like, well, no one's really spoken about this. Do you know what I mean?
That's mad. That's mad.
It's a real issue. Like, it's a mad issue, and so I think like kind of just her highlighting that yo, there's like so many people have been taken. You know what I mean? There's so many bodies that have been taken away from their families, women. You know what I mean? That, you know, I have to say something about this. You know what I mean?
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. It's power. So big up Shivi Kiki on that one.
Big up Keisha. Big you up.
And we got the next piece as well, actually, which was co-curated by ourselves, myself, Big People Music, and Keisha, A Sense of the Future. And we've got like a sick artist on that one. There's with Yusra, Tolu, and Christian Asare. And basically,
Wow.
A Sense of the Future is really about bringing artists to the forefront to talk about their futures using objects or echoes of their past. And this time we explore it through the Pan-African Congress. So we actually went to the Pan-African transcripts and looked through the transcripts, and they essentially responded to those transcripts. Amazing piece, you know what I mean? Like, so yeah, came up with that, put that together, and yo, that was like, it was even only shot like about 2-3 weeks ago. One of the sickest things I've done, one of the sickest sets, and one of the sickest artist teams I've worked with.
That sounds
Different.
mental.
It was cold.
Can't wait to watch that. Bro.
Yeah. So A Sense of the Future, I hope you lot really enjoy it. Let us know what you think. Feedback to us as well. # See My World Fest. Also, Instagram at See My World Fest. And also get onto us as well, because of course, Big People Community at Big People Community or at Big PPL. Do you know what I mean? We're all there. But yeah, stay locked, stay tuned, and I hope you enjoy this one, A Sense of the Future.
Stay locked in, guys. Peace.
What's good, people? It's Tunde, Babatunde Adekoya here, and you're now here with us at A Sense of the Future, a sensory experience where we explore a person's future through remnants of their past. And obviously, I'm joined here with some Shelly Shower artists, creatives, you name it, people that I see in high esteem and high regard, and I'm just so blessed to have them here. I will do a little introduction to them very shortly, but just kind of round off and talk about the event in its totality, a sense of the future. Came about a year ago, co-curated by Keisha Thompson, when she came up with a concept to look at using senses to understand people's notions of themselves and provide echoes of themselves through artistic experience, but using the senses to do that. So, touch, smell, all them other things there, sight. I ain't gonna go through all of them, you know them, right? But obviously we're doing it now, and it's a kind of as an extension of this. Is a special version because we're looking at it from the perspective of the 1945 Pan-African Congress. Not so many people know about the Pan-African Congress and what it was here to do, but 75 years ago, there was a meeting of minds, cultural purveyors, activists, and academics who came at a centre point to look at the self-realisation and the self-determinations of Pan-African peoples all around the world. And it happened here in Manchester. Ain't that madness? People don't know about this kind of stuff, you know what I'm saying? And I think it's really important that everyone knows about it. It's the same year that you had the UN come out of V-Day, which was the end of World War II. And even the same year, I know I shouldn't even be mentioning it, but Hiroshima and Nagasaki, everyone knows about them things and no one knows about this thing in it. And that's really interesting. So this is how the events come about, and we feel that within ourselves, within our capacities as people that want to set a notion and set a mantra for the rest of the world and Pan-African peoples, younger peoples, that this history should be dealt. And so, yeah, I'm joined here by a few artists, and I obviously would love to introduce them. Do you know what I mean? But before I go into introductions, I actually got presents for you, know?
Okay.
I got Perezzi's. You get me? Right, so actually, because it is of the time, and I actually picked out colours because I thought it would mark. That's for you.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
That's for you.
Peace. Thank you.
Now, no, you're calm.
That's my colour.
Yeah, a sense of the future. I thought I'd get these because it's of the time, bearing in mind it's COVID. Do you know what I mean? But it's got a Pan-African twist because of the designs on them as well. And if you were to look at some of the senses that they would explore, what I suppose it covers quite a lot of them, doesn't it? Because you got the smell, yeah, and all of that kind of transactional thing there with COVID and that. You get me? You got taste, but even though I don't know, but maybe you might be tasting the mask in itself. You know the ones. So I thought this covers quite a few of them. You know what I mean?
You touch spatial
And
awareness. So finding that spatial awareness becomes effective with these things.
Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It's mad. I've actually got asthma, so it kind of like it's a bit of a madness for me. Like going into places and people expecting me to like hold on to them and stuff. You know what I mean? But yeah, it's very of the time, and actually, yeah.
What you saying?
Yeah, I like it.
All right.
I have to wrap mine around my ears because it's too big. But thank you.
I can get
What goes
it.
with your jumper that you wear?
Yeah.
Swag up, the green coming through.
How did
The future, that coordination thing.
Yeah, channeling.
See what you did there.
You see, I did. I knew that totally like purple.
Yeah.
Do you know what I
I was
mean?
Like, is that
So I
future
got
sense
that.
or is that past sense or is it all one? We'll find out.
Yeah.
We'll find out.
And I was like Ghana, what can I see? The Kente kind of vibe, you get me? And then this was when I was thinking, I was just thinking caramel.
Oh,
I was thinking caramel, so I thought that would be the one.
that's
Thank you.
awesome.
Yeah,
What about yours? What's the story
mine-
behind your colours?
Because I was kind of wearing red and like a bit of a white, it's got a cream tint to it.
Yeah.
So I
that's
thought, let me
strong,
coordinate
actually.
with this one.
It is strong.
You know what I mean? My boy made these actually,
Okay.
like Ebo. It's called Cass. Check him out. You get me?
Yeah,
Little
product
promo.
little product placement
see,
there.
don't say I don't hook you up, my bro. Don't say I don't hook
Is
you
that
up.
what it's all about? I offered you a gift, but here's the product
H-
placement.
H-
Yes,
ASS.
Wait, bro. No, I hooked him up. But
the hustle in all areas. I like it.
I bought this off him, you know.
No, I think
Hey,
I'm
I
teasing
bought
him,
this,
teasing
you know.
him, teasing
You know
him.
what I mean? And one thing also, like in terms of sharing presents, that I wanted to like share in that way is that, like, what's interesting about presents is that you release endorphins from giving someone else a present in the same way where you might give someone dua, you might pray for them. You ultimately you receive that same blessing. How beautiful is that? Do you know what I'm saying? And so always remember that. You know what I mean? In your daily lives, presence and prayer. Do you know what I mean? That ultimately you're also affecting your own life as well in that way. But yeah, all right. But yeah, moving on swiftly. Big up Stun for letting us have this space. You know what I mean? Shouts out Stun. Beautiful people. You know what I mean? One of the only places still programming black theatre in that way. Do you know what I'm saying? And people, Pan-Africans. I don't even want to use the word black, but you know what I'm saying.
Can I ask you a question actually before we start?
Mm-hmm.
When you say Pan-African, what do you mean?
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel like a lot of people don't know what Pan-African is.
It's a good question. Does anyone else want to answer what their notion of Pan-Africanism could be? Or
Just your idea
My
of it,
idea.
not even like
kind of like
textbook answer, just your idea of it.
Yeah, I suppose just a unification and solidarity between all people, indigenous people of the African diaspora, so people who have left or have immigrated to other places and have descendants and still mixed, but still very much have Africa at their core in their rituals and in their daily lives in some way, shape, or form. I think that's how I look at it, and I try to move away now from the terminology of black. I'm not black. Do you know what I mean? As in, like, I'm many colours on the spectrum. So that's how I define it. Yeah.
I like that, especially as we're still in a stage where people are still treating Africa like a country, right? So even defining Africa as a continent, as a motherland, and then you've got Pan-Africa, which kind of incorporates everybody who's not living there, who has been there, or who is from there.
Yeah.
So I think it's just good to kind of have redefine stuff. Nomenclature is important. I think.
Yeah.
So yeah, Pan-Africanism for sure. And I like what you said about it being in your heart as well. Like, it's not necessarily a visual thing. So, yeah.
Well, big up. I suppose like See My World Festival, a festival of Pan-African experiences. Of course, we've got to do all the shouts out. # See My World Fest, Instagram at See My World Fest, and all of that kind of jazz. But we're going to move into the performances as part of this roundtable event, and actually to kind of see more people's echoes of themselves in the presentations that they brought here, to kind of understand that more. But yeah, I suppose like I would love to introduce Tolu and your performance. Do you know what I mean? But before we move into your performance, you're gonna give us like a quick round off of like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So I'll introduce. So the piece you're about to see is called Kinyun Eye, which translates to lion eagle in my mother tongue, which is Yoruba. I don't speak. We'll talk about that a little bit later, but I've wanted to try and learn and just sew into a little bit of my culture. And there's a little bit more of me in there because I'm really into my sci-fi and mythology. And the griffin has been sort of like a powerful animal for me. So that's the hybrid of the lion and the eagle. Lion, you've got all the kind of analogies and metaphors about pride, and Nigeria's animal is the eagle. So it's just a perfect animal for me. And so that's why I called it.
It's beautiful. And before we go in, can we have a little bit more about you, Tolu, the person?
For
the
sure,
phenomenon?
yes. Oh, well, no, I'm
Legend.
Keep it coming, I didn't say stop. I'm Tolu. I'm an artist, a vocalist, a musician, some spoken word, mostly in the hip hop soul genre, but I like my soundscapes as well. And frontman of a soul collective called Pieces of a Man. So there's 6 of us in that group, but obviously lockdown's been difficult to try and get together. So it's been quite nice to kind of explore some stuff on a solo journey. So
Big. Well, yeah, let's roll into this performance, man. I hope you enjoy.
Eyes up, wise up, rise up, fly. 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 We will not be ashamed of our patience. We're the lions who will not be tamed. We will no longer starve for your nations. We're the eagles you'll no longer prey. Omo me, rise up. Omo me, rise up. Omo me, rise up. Omo me, fly. Omo me, rise up. Omo me, rise up. Omo me, rise up. Omo me. You will listen to the facts of our condition, indignant, fueled by our pain. You will grant us our emancipation. You remember and pronounce our true names. Idelemi, 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 Idelemi. We'll continue to dismantle your systems. We will take back the spoils from your game. Our past was the birth of our freedoms. In the future we'll reap them again. Kineune, 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 Kineune,
Yo, so that was Tolu, mad thing. Should we talk about that a bit more and like, yeah, kind of like, yeah, it's like the name, the concept, everything behind it.
For sure. So yeah, I was responding to like the West African portion of the Congress of the Transcripts. And there was just a few direct quotes that I that locked into me. And the first line of the verse is we will not be ashamed of our patience. And it's like there's this notion of sort of like a sleeping Africa, like almost like an accusation of why didn't you do anything? Like why didn't you stop colonization? Like why didn't you rise up? Like why has it taken so long to arrive? And it's very accusatory, and it feels like sometimes there's a bit of guilt behind that. And it's like, no, that's not a vibe. It's not a portion at all to be ashamed of what was taken, of what was kind of inflicted. And I don't think it's a bad thing to take time, you know, like generally. Another line there is, with the eagles, you'll no longer pray. It's just some wordplay on the word pray, and just in terms of Christianity and the destructive effect that had in places. I know it can be very constructive for a lot of people, but generally it just was a force, like a very destructive force of kind of an oppressive back in the day. And just an eagle being Nigeria, just the bird of prey, just coming back with like a fighting spirit basically.
Yeah.
And just being like, actually, this is our time now. And I think it's time to switch the narrative from who's listening and who's speaking. And then the choruses, they were all eyes up, wise up, rise up and fly. Like, open your eyes, get wise. Like, let's learn about our history again. Because actually, before you'd even mentioned, I didn't know about the Pan-African Congress in my own city. Like, it's just crazy how history can, one, be rewritten, two, be silenced, you know? So, rise up and fly. And then the little precursors to that, Omomi is my child in Yoruba. And then the next one, Idelemi, is my family, rise up, wise up, rise up, fly. And the last one, and the title of the track, Kinyun A, the lion, the eagle, the griffin, just kind of, I'm big into my Afrofuturism, and a lot of mythology and sci-fi all kind of encapsulates into that. And just kind of, I love metaphor. And so just giving a visual kind of like, I don't know, structure of a beast, of just flying and just being able to kind of push through and fight. But also there's something about the lion where it's just chill. and it does wait, and it takes its right time. I think the lion is especially like the male lions are just very like selective in a way. They just lie in wait. Even the huntresses, the lionesses, they will just sit and wait for the exact right time. It's not, so I just love that imagery.
Yeah, I'm with it in that way. It's like you notice with like animals out in the wild that like when they need to eat, that's when they eat. It's not like to excess. Do you know what I mean? It's like they all live in harmony together up to a point where it's, oh yo, I need to eat now, so you're up next. That's kind of like the kind of vibe that's essentially what animals do. And it's like, humans on the other side, isn't it? Everything's to excess or mass production, but at the same time, anyway, we live with it. I mean, I suppose the other side of it, one of the things that you said in the tune was about patience, and that we wouldn't be like judged for our patience. You know what I mean? And it's something I've had to kind of deal with as well. That people go, like why do we always need to be patient, like people? And it's just like, going back to one of your points, and then you're saying, it's like taking our time with things. Bearing in mind that people only really saw independence over the last 60 years, and some of this stuff has been so systematically created that it's hundreds of years of essentially like extracting, taking, and creating something that benefits a totally different being, if you will. Do you know what I mean? And so now 60 years we're talking about 60 years of perceived independence. Obviously we understand colonialism and imperialism in the same way. So it's just like, actually, really,
and how certain leaders were taken out. We know this now, that people were assassinated, taken out to cause confusion amongst the people, and it's been of an insidious nature, the confusion that's been caused in Africa and in other colonized parts of the world. But it's interesting, patience is important. Like in Islam, we speak about sabr, that is patience. Patience is king. Like that is key to most things, in most situations in life, no matter what you're going through. Islamically, you're told sabr. And patience it's amazing. It is the waiting animal. Like, and there's other sayings about, not Islamically, but things that I've heard about, when something's coming for you, it puts its belly on the floor for you. Do you know what I mean? So it's like and also you have to operate maybe in those ways sometimes. So patience is important. And it reminds me of this really lovely story that I really, really like. There's a man who's trying to get to the citadel, right? And he's on his camel and he's trying to get to the citadel. And he can't push the camel anymore. There's a sandstorm, the camel gives up. He tries to run to the citadel. He physically can't, and he tries to walk, then he can't, and the sandstorm. Then eventually, when he's so spent and he has nothing left, he just lies back and the wind carries him there. So it's like you can push and push all you want, but sometimes that patience, that going faith, even outside of a religious context, not to confuse people, because I know people like feel vibes with religion and stuff, but just as in human nature, to have patience and to just wait for something, like to take action, but to be patient and to see the fruits of your action, and everything's within its season. So it's, if I feel like I'm talking African proverbs.
You are an African
proverbs. But this is the thing, these are the things that we know, like, and also this idea of modernity, the way that we eat, the consumerism. It's like, when I was 19, I said to my mum, I'm a vegetarian now. She laughed at me, innit? Somali mother, nomad, she's a desert nomad, she just laughed at me, and I was so skinny, I was like this. She said, you can't be a vegetarian, you'll die, right? So, but the concept of eating meat back home, wherever home is, right, is they'd only slaughter an animal just at certain periods of time, like a celebration. Not every day would they consume meat, so their bodies weren't suffering from the consumption of meat, nor was it mass produced, so it didn't have toxins in its system. Do you see what I mean? So there was so much benefit, whereas the food we get is so poisonous to our bodies. It's interesting.
Yeah, I'd say on the subject of patience, possibly in relation to your lyrics, and the ideology of the lion and the eagle. For me, it kind of it pulls out the ideology of generational patience. In that 1945, they envisioned a world where we can walk around in the way that we do, but I feel like we've always taken on the worries of our elders, but brought them to a world where we can do more with them. And in that ideology, I also think of lions and eagles as being animals that have families, They have a pride, they have a flock. And with that being said, generationally, I feel like Africans and Pan-Africans have reached a point where the youth have access to information that overrides a lot of the a lot of the supremacist structures that have been put in place that have really stopped Africans from getting ahead in the ways that they really could have. With the birth of the internet and the technological age, children and young people are at a place where their potential is very limitless. So with that being said, I feel like patience in that aspect is also generational with African people. Sometimes what you can't do, your child can. So that's kind of what I got from that. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you, man.
Seriously. So what have you brought for us in terms of like also providing echoes of yourself?
Yeah. I don't know if you're gonna like explain the vibe of what we're doing in terms of the echoes of ourselves and the totems and stuff.
Yeah.
But I just brought a few things that reflect. To be honest, I kind of cheated because a lot of my items go across the senses, but I feel like that's okay. It's better to have more senses than less. So first you can see good old coconut oil. Like this is probably an extension of myself, just because I have 3 pots of it at home. Like this one is the cooking one. So I know that I don't eat from the one that I'm using on my body, because it's just, that's just not the vibe. So yeah. And then the other one is just a spare, because you always have a spare coconut oil. But I just like its versatility. Like if you've never used it, it's like really good for you. You can use it for all sorts of stuff. People use it to swill, and even like keep teeth clean and buffered and stuff. It keeps you from being ashy. Like it's just a good alternative in terms of its frying and cooking, like in terms of the fat content or whatever, if that's a thing for you. But also it smells great, like if you like coconuts.
Absolutely banging.
Do you know? So, and just in terms of its actually physicality, like at room temperature, we're under lights here, but normally at room temperature it's solid, but you just rub it and it's fluid. And there's just something in that, like just how flexible it can be. Do you know what I mean? I've got time for coconut oil. Anyway, so yeah. It's the feel, it's the smell, it's the taste, it's the sight. The only thing it doesn't do is make a sound. So, so that's that.
You're talking about swill, and I thought that's quite interesting, because that's supposed to be like an old chemic ritual, isn't it? Teeth pulling when you like whiten, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's
so
true.
Even from then, we've been on it from time, from time. Anyway, moving on to keep.
And having patience, there's another thing about like having patience for the rest of the world to catch up with Africa, because it's been like there's so much innovation, like in terms of astrology, mythology, like even in terms of faith and all sorts of spirituality that actually we still haven't tapped into yet. Like Sun Ra back in the day was like so ahead of time, and still you can listen to that stuff and it's very timeless. So like that would be my sound actually.
So what else have you got for us?
But yeah, so I've got the claw necklace, which has been quite popularized in by Marvel now, but from Black Panther's suit, as it were. And this is just this is more of a representation of me, or an extension of me. I tend to wear one all the time. I got this one before it got big, and then when it got big, it might allow me to get a bigger one. So I just wear this guy like when it's full and special times or whatever, because I also broke it as well, so it's a fragile thing. But the claw necklace holds the power of Black Panther's suit, so and is a constant shield. And there's something about having so much power that actually is very visible, but doesn't look necessarily like it can hold that much. And it's just been always really powerful for me. Obviously, that ideology of seeing myself in the superheroes and stuff that we had to be really selective, or I had to be really selective as a kid. There wasn't very many. There was Zach, the Black Power Ranger, problematic in itself. And there's a few. There was Storm, who's also very stereotypically, I guess the very like white image of what Africa should be, or like what an African woman should be. And it's not a bad thing at all, but obviously, and being a man as well, I was like, I don't know how much I see myself in Storm, Black Panther came along and I was like, power, okay. And back in 1952, he was introduced at a time when stuff was still segregated. And I'm like, actually, that's powerful. Stan Lee and Jack Kirby introducing that character first, almost with a villainous vibe, just to get in through the door. And then actually, no, this is a character that is sustained and will be timeless. So yeah, just a feel and the look as well. So that's, I guess, my sight. And then my last item, which has not been used as much today, actually, I need to probably do, but my throw comb, it just feels good.
I don't know a household, you know what I mean, a Pan-African household that didn't have that
Didn't
one
have
stage.
a pick.
Do you know what I mean? You know,
It's just interesting. It's just interesting going to I grew up in a white majority town, and this is such a staple item in the house. And then for people to be wowed by the concept of an Afro pick, like, how does it work? And then obviously like kind of touch your hair, like, oh, it's so different, and it just stays where it is. All of that stuff. Whereas this is such a staple thing. It's got a little fist on the end of this one as well, power fist. And it's just, again, visually, like the feel of it, and just how it makes you feel once you've used it correctly. And like, yeah, it just was another extension of me. So they're my items.
Bless. Thanks for sharing.
All good.
I suppose I'm gonna, move on swiftly to Yusra. How you doing? How you feeling?
Really well.
Yeah.
It's really lovely to hear someone's connection to items that you have a different connection to. Like, it's a real privilege. Thanks for sharing. It's really interesting what you're saying about Marvel characters and where you grew up in. And when you talk about people asking about how you use an Afro comb, it's always that constant balance, I think, we do as diaspora, which is human curiosity, which is fine. Sometimes I don't know how a lot of things work in other people's culture in different ways. But it's also that constant thing of like, we know how most things are because we live in the culture, but then our culture is not necessarily, because it's not being accepted. That's the friction, isn't it? That's the rub. It comes from a point where it's been denied, or people would be embarrassed, I think, in the past to do certain things. Whereas now I love it. And people love it as well, right? So people that don't even have an Afro would love to find a way to stitch that up in their head and walk around with it. Do you know, it's just because it's so, we're seeing an embracing of culture. And I like that. And I also hope when we see this embracing of culture, we don't lose the meaning behind it and the connections behind it. It's not just a capitalist endeavour, which a lot of things about Africa coming through are right now. So they're just like the thoughts that I've been having, but really beautiful. Thank you.
No problems.
Thank you.
Bless.
So what do you want me to talk about tonight?
Oh yeah, so your performance, you know what I mean? So obviously we've been round and everyone has provided an artistic expression and a response to the 1945 Pan-African transcripts, a short period of time in which everyone pulled something together. So thanks for doing that on you know what I mean, on little time. But obviously artists create and do it in special ways.
Some of us might even have done it just the night before.
Yeah, so
Who could have that?
Still pulled out of the bag, obviously. But
no, it's interesting. It was really interesting reading those transcripts. I think just being in lockdown, concentration levels of reading different things. Like, I've been actually going back to really simple storytelling books just to get my brain working again if I spend a week without reading or something. So it was really an interesting exercise. So, okay, I love the language, I love the optimism, I love the endeavour, I love the kind of organisation. I just loved everything about it, and it feels like I'm, like these pictures of my family, I know about things like this, and it just makes me feel sad sometimes because I think a lot of, not just young people, a lot of older people don't know that the Pan-African Congress happened, they don't know about Pan-Africanism or the fact that these rich conversations live. And I feel we're constantly marginalised in spaces where we must just be our physical representations, we're just the soundbite we're just a piece of music, we're just a dance piece, you know, rather than all those things and a lot more. And I think the piece, things that I speak about in the piece, I suppose for me is the idea of like who you are and who we are. And I think it's really important, like for me, a big thing that comes up, and it's also in a lot of scriptures, it's in a lot of novels, it's in a lot of great literature, modern, Western, European, whatever, African, Eastern. Know thyself. Like if you know thyself, like the world is literally your oyster. But what is the most complicated thing to do is to know thyself, is one of the hardest things to do, right? So then to go, well, who are you as an African? Well, and also Africa's not a country, like you're saying, innit? It's a continent. And look how different we are. And then we've got the layers of like migration and beautiful things. Also, a lot of people displaced through civil war. There's a lot of trauma. There's a lot of things that we find ourselves in when we're in the UK or in non-African places. But also I think it's the richness of that and the beauty of that. And people always go, oh, it's really different, that must be really difficult, or that must be different. And it's great. Like, wow, I love it that I can speak another language. I love it that I've got this. I love that we have the privilege of occupying different worlds, which means we have the privilege of having different thought, behavioural patterns, which has neurological patterns in our brains, which means our imaginations. It's such a richness and such a benefit. But I actually feel that, unfortunately, sometimes people don't realise that it is a power. It's almost like a superhuman power, you know what I mean? And we don't realise it. We use a minutiae of our capacity. So I think that piece of just speak about the words, and also Africa, like just the idea of Africa, like and the world, Pan-African, the world, Gaia, the woman, the mother, and these things are important. And I think I was a mother from quite a young age, and I think I was shied away from it, keeping things, like I'd always take my kids into theatre because I didn't know any better. So I'd there with a baby watching a play at 7 o'clock at night. I didn't know any better. But as I got older, it's kind of, there's almost like we're not allowed to celebrate. So people would say to me, oh, not everyone can breastfeed, you know, or not everyone can do that, you know, or not everyone can, and I'm not even trying. I'm just blessed with it, so why not help me celebrate within my blessings? So that concept of also denying ourselves joy and pleasure and blessings because we don't want to stand out too much. We don't want to shine too much. And even not having language to know it's a good thing that you're shining, that you're blessed. Actually, we see it as we're not fitting in maybe, or because someone feels uncomfortable. And I wish I could say, and everyone knew, if someone's uncomfortable around you, let them be uncomfortable, because they see something in you that they can't articulate. It's not even a negativity. You go into a room and you're probably the only person that looks like you. It's not even a negative thing half the time. It is negative because they're not meeting you at a standard that offers you dignity as a human being, but they are so low wherever in their understanding of the world or of someone that looks like you, that they're so confused that they just see something sparkling in you that they can't handle it. So it's also understanding things, and I think that's why an African culture, like Somali culture, we didn't write down the language. It wasn't a written language till very, very recently. And that sounds like it's backward or not intelligent or not whatever. Somali people, East Africans are smart. Smart people are smart in the world. Human beings have got infinite capacity. So we have a tradition, an oral tradition. So our history, our memories, are through rhyme, they're through riddles. One of our greatest poets, actually the first fighter plane that flew over Africa was to bomb this guy, to kill this guy. And he waged a 20-year campaign with the British Army and actually won at the Battle of Dulmadub, which translates to the Battle of Blackland, Dulmadub. And that's like going to conflict. How can we beat this big machine? It was people that believed in themselves, that knew themselves. It's not even about conflict, it's about knowing yourself. So when we find ourselves in these spaces where we don't know ourselves, we start apologizing for ourselves, don't we? We start even doubting ourselves. We start questioning, start going, well, I didn't make that choice. Or you have all these artistic projects and people are like, so what were you listening in your bedroom when you were in high school in the late 90s? I wasn't listening to music. My mum was letting me blast music. No, because it's a different culture. So different reference points, and sometimes you can feel alienated, but it's about going, I might be alienated from something, but there's so much more you can bring to the table. And I think a lot of, like, my wishes for Pan-Africanism is for all people.
So what can we expect from the
What can you expect from the piece? I don't know. It's words. It's just my initial response to what that text gave me. I was asked to look at specifically the African regions, but just the strength, the sense of like people with a clear purpose and endeavour for betterment. I like that, and it's kind of a response to that. Yeah.
Thank you. Let's roll into Yusra Osama's piece.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Standard order, standing to order, one picked from abundance, languished in cruelty, plucked from many but true few are chosen. We're all too busy standing to order, forgetting the standard order. Inherited lies from liars that have blagged our children to trick themselves in their own minds. Hello, Africa. We know you've never been sleeping. That big heart of yours is bleeding, though. Stop it then. I plead. Your heart laughs because it's still beating. Africa, though. Those children of yours, those overseas, the ones whose parents left with dreams and those now semi-redundant university degrees, those ones, them same ones, they don't know how to stick up for themselves. You laugh because you know some of us don't know who we are, tricking and tripping ourselves from the lies we're told. No, we have to laugh. It's because we know we have got big hearts. We come from the biggest heart, Africa. Call this a weirdo song of sorts. Tell me of a time when ancestors would step over diamonds like pebbles because they knew that there was precious stuff, the real precious stuff that requires a deep excavation for something that is much, much deeper. Africa. How many have sung your name? How many faces have sprouted from you? You must be a woman then. That Cushite, that ebony, that dark, that beauty, that woman. That's you. Tasks undertaken in your name, Pan-African connections, delegates, vessels of carrying that thing that's something deeper. By the way, don't hate when folks stand tall. Don't cry if you don't see yourself in this picture. Don't try and squeeze in like a toxic cuckoo bird and many man succubus. Try humility whilst I call their names, the eastern regions at the time spoken of in Manchester in 1945. Somaliland, Kenya, Uganda, the Rhodesias. Before Europeans divided the land, there were people, one group pastoral, one group agricultural, and one group hunters in one region. Imposed upon them was a hierarchy. The African man with his good heart worked hard thinking he would be dealt with correctly, but no, there was money to be made. There's always money to be made. So this working man was so trusting and he was tricked. That's why the diaspora needs sometimes roll with their shoulders back and not entertain you with their dazzling African smiles. Maybe a click FU is the more appropriate response you see in the youth. The youth. They've got this. They know that woman, that bleeding, that Cushite, that dark, that being. We'll do it all with a click, you. The land that grew coffee and cotton is the land that belongs to the people. Turn of the century proclamations. I bet that woman, that earth, that bleeding, that heart, I bet she laughs. 'Cause land always belongs to the people. Truth doesn't need proclamation, so click on you. They stole our money. Chants of drunken men, sad, broken, displaced, dark men. They stole our money. Tranced down our streets and ginnels and backways, we thought they were mad. We thought they were lying, ranting, raving, roaming men. But check, it was them who spoke the most sense. The prophets of truth lived amongst us, besieged with their own clarity on our estates. Modern day soothsayers, modern day truth speakers. Look how they were ignored. Look how we ignored them. But we all come from that Cushite, that dark, that woman, that being, Africa. How are you doing? Africa, how many sing your name? There's a standard order, a natural order. That's why I can't stand to no man-made order. From 1900 meeting to the 1945 meeting in Manchester, there has been political and economical demands made. The clearest one is for the equal rights of people. And until that is right, you won't see us singing and dancing from nah. That stuff needs to be kept in for inner joy, for inner survival. Because there's babies to feed truthful thoughts to. It was the educated native African in Africa told to wait patiently for equality by colonialists, but now we now know the colonialist is a liar. Flags of independent African nations billowed from a building in Manchester, and wow, did they arrive. Those African delegates, diligent and ready. How eloquently they spoke, more eloquently than you and I. You see, I have the full moon upon my head today, and my baby's waiting at home, and my breast is full of milk, and my patience today is bloody low. These delegates were dissecting and discussing the disgusting facts of European rule, and better still, the emancipation of Africa from it. Africa, how visible are we now? Never too clever, never too articulate, never too anything, just standard. Standard order. The world is what you make it. There's more in the world, tells us Du Bois. Not an idea of dominance, but an idea of empowerment, as he tells us. It's an idea against the intolerable assumptions and insults from Europeans that have already found expression. Maybe this is some sort of rage against the machine. Just to be clear though, it's about love and honour. Let's not get that twisted with all that works against us already. Du Bois and others make that offer in their words and actions. It's not about the bad vibes of people. It's not even about the pain. It's about the truth when a poisonous ocean is trying to devour you. Its own waves are in pain. The mouths of haters burn with ulcers. Spit out the fermented seaweed. Do yourself a favour, loves. The grandchildren shudder with memories in the blood. Somewhere in that deep something, they are now calling out for what they are. Let me not apologise. Needles protrude from my simian lines. My hair follicles pick up your vibrations, so shh. Time for all the yoga and meditation to kick in whilst you listen. Shall I say sorry for a truth? Shall we all say, I didn't mean to upset you? Shall I stutter and hide behind views of false custom and subjugation? Shall I not get too clever or big for my boots? Because I already tried that. Tried to walk in the guise of good vibes and apology. Nothing changed and nobody listened. How could they if the truth was never invited to propagate my gate? Africa. How many have had your name upon their lips? I think she's laughing. She's smiling. That Cushite, that dark, that woman, that being. This isn't a conversation. It's an invitation to listen to that something deeper, that something more.
So, Yusra, could you tell us a bit about yourself
Yeah, I'm Yusra Warsama.
many other names. We count all our ancestors. It's just like Bismillah, and you count back your father, your father's father, father, so you know where you come from. Yeah. And then that's how we have tribes as well. So Ahmed might have had X amount of children, then they become a tribe within themselves, right? It's a very beautiful, complex thing. Anyway, I'm from Manchester. I was born in the Middle East, came here when I was 1 year of age, displaced due to civil war, and we came to glamorous Manchester. And I'm really happy actually we came to Manchester because it has a texture to it. It's becoming homogenised like all places in the world through gentrification, but it's got a texture and a character, and I'm glad.
Yes, a real character.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah, I've been out here for 13 years now, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not leaving. Not leaving,
not going back down south.
So yeah, you presented some echoes of yourself. Would you like to go through?
Yeah, these are prayer beads. So I got these off my mum the other day because I lost mine, and they're beautiful. It's a remembrance, so you can do the 99 names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, astaghfirullah. It's giving thanks. And it's also just cognitively always being conscious and aware. This is a tabaqad. A tabaqad literally translates as a tabaqad, like a fire carrier, a fire holder, and we put coal or charcoal in there, and we burn frankincense in there, or unsi, which is a perfumed rock. And obviously frankincense through many nations and cultures is known as it cleanses the space, and it's proven so many reasons why it's a benefit. And so that's the tabaqad. And these are pictures. I went round to my cousin's the other day and it was just in my bag, and I wanted pictures for my new place of my family and my ancestors, and I found the most beautiful picture of like my mum, aunties and cousins and uncles. But I'm particularly struck by this picture, which is I think a delegation from Mogadishu, Somalia. They went to China. There you go. My uncle is passed away now, Mohammed. That was my uncle Mohammed. And also just the idea of, there's a lot of young people in Manchester, and there's a lot of art projects that I want to instigate over the next few years with them in the local high schools, of them so lost. And I'm like, why are you carrying on like that? Like, oh, you have no sense of like, again, who you are, because you have no idea of what Somalia was before it got bombed out. But that's very recent. That's like the late 80s. Like before then, what was the place? What was the people? What was its function? Do you not know you're more than just like not having no bread on the weekend, living on an estate in South Manchester? So just kind of that empowerment of like history and how lucky I am to have this. And they hold your memories and they're my memories. That's it really, to keep it short and sweet. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing.
No, you're more than welcome.
Thank you. And then Christian, how do I say your second name? Asari. Yeah. He says it so eloquently. Please give us a sense of your future. Like talk to us about your piece and who you are.
All right. My name is Christian Asari. I'm 30 years old and I'm a multidisciplinary Black British artist of Ghanaian heritage. I paint in oils. I mainly focus on abstraction, Afrofuturism, portraiture, and I like animation as well, just because it's cool. I am a trained dancer. I trained at the Trinity Laban Conservatoire of Music and Dance, and I have a specialization in Afro-contemporary choreography and performance. I also write, and I do a lot of different things generally. The piece or performance, I'd much rather call it a sharing, was just some of the written work that I've done, I guess, in the past 6 months. And some of it was work I've done in the past that I felt was culturally relevant to this moment, and to where we are as far as the things that are happening in the world. I guess, I hope you watch it and just, take something from it per se, but I don't want to have to explain necessarily each one in its entirety. So I probably will only talk about the last one.
Cool.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks for that, Christian. Well, let's move in swiftly into Christian performance.
Dangerously closed. I am dangerously close. Close to coast, close to cream, close to ether, close to dream. Cliché to say, and yet so far I remain closed, yet still close. Choke. Ask me not to lie about the truth in these streets. Tell me not to choke on the air every one of us breathes, free. Cut me deep and expect me not to bleed. Set me loose, yet never truly let me be, free. Hold me close and at arm's length as well. Love my sword and hate my heart and helm, freely. Give me all your truth, lay my old soul bare, and expect me not to choke on this hold, in this air. Words. What is it in me that makes you want to seem so free? What if my soul fills your bowl with thoughts like filigree? What test at your behest must I best to be all I am? What ring must I bring to appease this bond we treasured but did not plant? What truths do I have to speak to let loose the lies you so cheaply bought? What genius must I employ in sleuthing this hoard of problems brought? What must we do to silence this eye's lone cries in the deep and dark of night? What must I do to make sure we all do not fall and truly, fiercely burn bright? Shoulder it all, bear everything, own it all and cast the die. Raise the roof, resist, rebel, burn it down and let it lie. For your ego runs amok in our once loved hovel, house and home. Uncomfortably aflame as each fire dies, the taint of your youth seeps through unknown. If in me you seek and see such freedom, what and who am I to you? One must raise doubts over what we'd ever really be. Not much in the now, nothing true. Mindful. It is not for me to change how you think. Your mind is yours from edge to brink. As much as fathom it, I'd rather we were linked through bonds most tenuous in this mental clinch and clink. I can influence with words and paint quaint pictures, entice with scent and glance and touch. I can suggest ideologies most bountiful, provide perspectives aplenty and off cuff. I can enthrall with shade, color, and contour, imbue joy, rage, or lust, explain away many a circumstance, and write with you till dawn in the dust. I can hope you'll meet me in the middle, and dream our understandings touch. But this mind of yours, I cannot change it. It is too vast. It is too much. Minority Report. What has all come to when forever we sit in this hateful, tenuous state? When one was once three, we fight the 5 O's to survive the dread of every 7. 9 out of 10, it's injustice. Being naught in a world of ones, though we all speak binary, some are more equal than others. We remain divisible by nothing, a part of what has worth, significant nonetheless, integral to all. So start from naught in truth and keep count. and more. Refuse to fall through the cracks of society. Refuse to be a statistic. Another black man, disadvantaged, disrespected, and downplayed. Through ships' holds, chains, blood, and rebirth, men before I paved the way for me and mine. I am more than my skin. I am my skin and more. Like heated breaths in cold conversation, life breath, I'm charged, I am visible, and I am fluid, and shall inevitably rise. Like Maya and Malcolm, I too cling to the edges of freedom, and refuse to let go of choice and expression, of the dream to be recognized as equals, of being and knowing and living in truth. Growth devoid of arrogance, learning devoid of bias, history as it was, not as they tell it. Across oceans, holds overflowing and unlimited, we were brought and we became. Slave, tyrant, thug, immigrant, slave. Salacious society solves generations of hurt with Kimye's and Trump. Recessions, transgressions, regression and resolve. Resolution. Refuse to fall. Refuse to be a number that is counted and countless. It's from weighing way back then to writing writ right now. Arrogance without knowledge base lacks volume. Confidence without worth lacks form. Intelligence without application breeds dormancy. History without context remains subjective, and the objective is lost through variations in view. Education spans more than academics, and we've learned to love hard and work hard and live hard for each other as much as you. In our similarities, our divergencies, decisions, and differences define our dance to inevitable death. And in life, I strive in moments truly alive to live in the now and the new. I refuse to fall through the cracks of society. I refuse to be a statistic, another black man disadvantaged, disrespected, and downplayed. Through ships' holds, chains, blood and rebirth, women before I paved the way for me and mine. I am more than my skin. I am my skin and so much more.
Yeah, thanks, Christian, for that.
No problem.
It's like, even how you were sat on the chair, you know what I mean, presenting. You look like the little like a glass of water.
Yeah, you got to swag it out a little bit.
Christian, a glass of baritone.
I had a glass of water. I love that.
Let me live, or let me live. Didn't even get to touch it. I didn't even get to touch it, Jesus. Oh, Lord. No, that was enjoyable. Thank you for having me.
No, it's blessed, it's blessed. So you said you were going to talk about the last piece, if you wouldn't mind, and also, you might have brought, or you've brought pieces here, and it's going to talk about, so.
Okay, so I've decided, well, no, not decided. I think typically of most artists, I've overthought the brief and come with something and nothing. So I believe we were asked to bring something that was an echo, and another thing that was an object. So as far as something that was an object, I decided to bring my brain, because echoing some of the things that Yusra said, I think I've been blessed to have been educated across 3 different continents. So I went to school in West Africa, and I went to school in the USA, and I went to this school in the UK. And I'm blessed with being able to speak more than one language, which gives you multiple perspectives on worldviews and concepts of education, knowledge, science, and history. So with all of that in mind, I brought my brain because my brain contains the depth of my experience. as an African or as a Pan-African person, I feel like our oral history is the one thing that separates us from the rest of the world. And it's the one thing that really defines us and unites us as Pan-African people. So as far as an object, I brought my brain, I brought my thoughts, I brought my memories. And as far as an echo, I brought my skin. Because to my mind, your tonation is, it's basically an echo of first man. And it's about how close you are to that. In that first man was black. And genetically, scientifically, it's been proven over decades. And another thing I kind of wanted to draw a parallel on or between is the ideology that our oral history surpasses the physical, in that our libraries are destroyed, our pyramids are no longer there, but we still have a succinct understanding of our history through the oral things that we share, through our interactions. So with that in mind, when I wrote And More when my great-grandmother passed, and she died at 103. So she was alive when, she was probably in her 50s when the Congress happened. And she was an educated black woman living in Ghana, studying, taking care of her family. So it made me think of legacy, and it made me think of what they've done and what they've achieved and who they've loved and how they've lived to get me to the point where I am. So yeah, I would like to think that my skin is an echo, my mind is an object that contains objective memories. And those are the things that I brought with me today and the things that I carry everywhere with me, I would like to think. Yeah.
Yo, blessings. Yo, we're gonna have to wrap this up. I know we need it would be great to have more responses from the artists, but yo, until next time, folks. Yo, I was just say blessings and thank you for all the artists. Thank you again, Christian, for that, sharing that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Yusra. Thank you, Tolu. And big up Stun for letting us do this and letting us go mad over time, bro. You'll probably see this in edits as well, but it's all calm. Shouts out to the film production crew, shouts out to the sound crew, shouts out to the Big Music crew at Sema World Festival and everyone involved.
Big up yourself tuned there as well.
Yeah, big up team, big up team.
There you go, get
Right, everyone must dust. Lock it off, lock it off, lock it off.
See My World will involve the education, promotion and celebration of Pan-African arts, culture and being. This October 2020, between the 15th to the 18th, the same weekend of this historic meeting, there will be a festival reenactment of the 1945 Pan-African Congress, incorporating debates, forums, seminars, exhibitions and performances.
The aim? To establish a new cultural practice for Pan-Africans across Manchester and the UK, so we can establish historical legacy across the world. Big up to yourselves and big up to our sponsors. Let's make history, let's make a legacy. Come see our world.
See My World will involve the education, promotion and celebration of Pan-African arts, culture and being. This October 2020, between the 15th to the 18th, the same weekend of this historic meeting, there will be a festival reenactment of the 1945 Pan-African Congress, incorporating debates, forums, seminars, exhibitions and performances.
The aim? To establish a new cultural practice for Pan-Africans across Manchester and the UK, so we can establish historical legacy across the world. Big up to yourselves and big up to our sponsors. Let's make history, let's make a legacy. Come see our world.
See My World will involve the education, promotion and celebration of Pan-African arts, culture and being. This October 2020, between the 15th to the 18th, the same weekend of this historic meeting, there will be a festival reenactment of the 1945 Pan-African Congress, incorporating debates, forums, seminars, exhibitions and performances.
The aim, to establish a new cultural practice for Pan-Africans across Manchester and the UK, so we can establish historical legacy across the world. Big up to yourselves and big up to our sponsors. Let's make history, let's make a legacy. Come see our world.
See My World will involve the education, promotion and celebration of Pan-African arts, culture and being. This October 2020, between the 15th to the 18th, the same weekend of this historic meeting, there will be a festival reenactment of the 1945 Pan-African Congress, incorporating debates, forums, seminars, exhibitions and performances.
The aim, to establish a new cultural practice for Pan-Africans across Manchester and the UK, so we can establish historical legacy across the world. Big up to yourselves and big up to our sponsors. Let's make history, let's make a legacy. Come see our world.